See, the thing is, most people miss the crucial rule about protein intake because it's actually about absorption windows. I had this patient who came to me. She was kind of like early 30s. She was trying to get pregnant. And one of the things we wanted to do was increase her muscle mass so she had better glucose disposal, just generally your insulin resistance and your levels of absorption of insulin help with fertility, as does just having good general health and good metabolic health, really. So anyway, she was what seemed to be doing all the right things. She was about 70 kilos. She was doing how much was she doing? About 140 grams of protein a day. And 140, grams of protein a day for 70 kilos, which is about right. And she was working out and she just wasn't putting on any muscle. Turn the lights on. She wasn't putting on any muscle. And therefore, she kind of felt like, well, what's going on? This doesn't seem to be working. So I had a look, and I mean, every patient that I get, that I work with, I always get them to do a detailed food log. And even then, I'll get it up and I'll show you that even when we were doing the food log, she seemed to be hitting the protein goal. She was eating well. But then I looked and I asked her kind of like, what are you actually, when are you eating this? And what she was doing is that she was eating her morning protein with a protein shake. So she's having eggs and a protein shake. So she's probably doing about 50 grams of protein shake, 20 to 30 grams with the eggs. And in the evening, she was having a steak and having yogurt to make it up there as well. And she was doing that because she was doing intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting is actually kind of back in vogue. I know a lot of people started to worry about people not getting the protein amount during that window, but actually it's really good, obviously, as we know, for autophagy, for metabolic health, but people were worried that you'd get muscle loss with it. But actually, new research that's come out shows that doesn't actually happen. What we found is that you have to be very deeply in a calorie deficit for it to start triggering muscle. There are several ways that you can trigger mTOR, which is the cellular pathway that stimulates muscle production. And one of them is eating protein, but the other one is exercising. So with exercising, not only with exercising alongside it, you can also, just as long as you refeed and get adequate protein when you are in your eating window, then it should be enough to maintain muscle mass and even put on muscle mass. But the reason this lady was not putting on any muscle mass or struggling because she was not paying attention to the absorption windows. So as you probably know, there is a sweet spot for protein. Anything below, it's really below about 20, but I say below 30. Below that, it doesn't stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So it kind of just gets used for energy production and isn't wasted, so to speak, but doesn't really contribute towards the muscle mass, which is what we want. Then on the other end, above 50 is where that basically is the maximum that the body can absorb in any one go. And it basically gets used for for energy production beyond that. Now, the thing is though, what people don't realize and what this patient was doing wrong is that what is that time period? Because 30 to 50, well, this patient, it turned out that she was basically doing it all in one go and not paying attention to the absorption windows, because it's about every 3 hours that you need to do that 30 to 50 hit. So when someone's doing intermittent fasting, this is the challenge, is to get that protein in for the amount of time that they have, right? So if you're doing a 8-hour feeding window, it's actually difficult to have 4 hits of protein with a 3-hour gap in between. Obviously, you need 9 hours for that. Now, it is possible to take a protein shake outside of your feeding window, and it doesn't kind of undo some of the benefits of the intermittent fast. So that's a good way to do it, and something that I recommend. But it's really important to pay attention to that 3-hour window. So essentially doing 30 to 50 every 3 hours is the way to go. Now, the way that I recommend patients do this, and the way that I do it myself, is that I recommend have like some set blocks that you can guarantee you're going to get your protein in. So, for example, what I would say to patients is you want to basically have 2 fixed bits in the day where you are getting that protein. So the ones that I use are eggs in the morning, very first thing. So I have 4 eggs. That's usually, if they're really big, that's up to about 28 grams, somewhere between that. And I'll have like a cup of tea with milk with it as well. So it'll kind of bring it up to 30. Then the other one that I'll do is just in the afternoon, I'll make sure that I have a really good protein powder. And I put enough scoops in that to get 50 grams. So the important thing with protein powders is that a lot of people have really crap protein powders with loads of ultra processed food ingredients in. They are not particularly good sources. So if you want to find out what some of the good ones I recommend, on the Health Mapping Clinic website, which I'll link to below, we have a list of unaffiliated, unsponsored. I don't get any money for these. They're just ones that I've done research on and figured out which are the best proteins for people to use. So you can go on the website and just get that list for free. But it's really important to pay attention to these windows, because if people aren't taking it in the right way, you can have this situation where, like this lady, for example, was taking all of the protein that she needed, but not getting to the not doing it in the right way to get the gains that she wanted. So all we did was very simply did the protein shake outside of the fasting window. We then did her 3 set doses. Obviously you can do that in a 6-hour window then, because you do it on hour 0, hour 3 and hour 6. And as long as you're getting the right amount in, then people get those gains. And yeah, it worked out really well for her. She started putting on the muscle mass. She brought down she improved her glucose disposal. So she was bringing down her insulin spikes on oral glucose tolerance tests, and lo and behold, after a few months she got pregnant. So yeah, a really good story and a really good way to understand that sometimes it's not the what you do, it's the how you do it. If you want to find out more about protein and kind of how to optimize it in the best way possible, check out this kind of slightly more formal video that I do here, or just go to the website where you can get that free guide for what protein powders to try. But yeah, hope that I find that useful.